Hey athletes, if you have ever been afraid or are afraid to ask your coach questions, I wanted to give you 4 tips to help you build that confidence in being able to ask your coach questions. So inherently there is a power dynamic of like coach athlete, and so that is kind of intimidating, and they're often older. Some coaches are legit kind of scary. So I get it. It's not always the easiest thing to do, maybe in comparison to like asking your friend a question or a teammate. And so here are 4 things I want to encourage you to try if you are kind of nervous in asking your coach questions. The first, start small. So if you have like a big question for them, or, maybe in the course of the season, you're like, well, I might at some point want to ask them about my playing time or what I can do better, whatever the case may be, start small. If you never ran before, you're not going to run a marathon this weekend. So think about some small questions. Hey coach, how's your day going? Hey coach, what'd you do this weekend? Hey coach, do you like this show? So maybe totally irrelevant and absolutely nothing to do with your sport, but it's a great way and opportunity for you to kind of practice asking questions, talking with your coach on very small, meaningful things that can then build over time to give you the confidence to ask that question. Tip number 2 is maybe ask a pre-question or set up, hey coach, I want to ask you a question. So whether that's in some type of group messaging, group me, or shooting a coach an email of, hey coach, I have a question. Would it be okay for me to ask you before practice? Or can you hang back after practice for a few minutes? And so you're kind of setting it up, asking that pre-question, priming for the fact that you do have a question. And then, you kind of know, hey, coach knows I am going to ask. We sort of have this time. I'm not just hoping he's or she is available at the end of practice. So sending that pre-question can also be really helpful. Number 3 is there an assistant coach that maybe initially you feel more comfortable going to or asking? We are not always going to get along amazingly with every single person. And so if there's an assistant coach that for you feel a little bit more comfortable initially approaching in comparison to your head coach, start there. And then maybe you and your assistant coach can approach the head coach together. So going to that assistant coach, our assistant coaches are amazing and they can also help us in communicating as well. Now, finally, if it's like, hey, I know I'm just like really uncomfortable, or just the dynamic in my team is kind of tough, then think about, is there a way or an opportunity after applying these first 3 or the ones that may work for you, is going with someone or kind of having a buddy as you ask the question. Maybe that's another teammate, maybe that's an assistant coach, maybe that's a parent, but having someone there with you, but you as an athlete are doing the talking and asking your coach that question yourself. And so I hope these are some helpful tips in building some of that comfortability in asking questions and communicating with your coach.